Belgian Prime Minister Charles Michel has backed his outspoken Interior Minister Jambon, who told a Belgian national newspaper that Muslims had cheered in the aftermath of the recent attacks where 32 people lost their lives. This is what Jambon, the Interior Minister, he is reminding viewers, he's the Interior Minister that actually offered his resignation in the immediate aftermath of the attacks. That resignation request was rejected. This is what he said to a national newspaper over the weekend. He said, a significant part of the Muslim community danced following the attacks. That is the real problem. Terrorists we can pick up, remove from society, but they are just a pimple. Underneath is a much more difficult cancer to treat. We can handle it, but not overnight. Obviously making reference there, Margaret, to the fact that Molenbeek, which is this community, this area in Belgium, which has a large Muslim community and a large Muslim population, referencing that really in a broad comment that really it's the Muslim population that is the problem. They are the cancer.
Look, that sentiment following Charlie Hebdo, the general Muslim public, the criticism was that there was a tacit response that creates an environment where radicals thrive. And that's what I hear him saying here, that tacit compliance isn't acceptable when it comes to such horrific things. And you know, regarding the cheering or not, it speaks to a larger issue of perhaps there is an underlying problem where there needs to be more of a response on behalf of that community.
Yeah, what I see here, and just to pick up on that, he also said in part of the interview as well, he referenced the fact that when Salah Abdeslam was arrested rather, which in some ways was the sort of the beginning, the first step in this series of this link of events that occurred, and then ending in the massacre. He said the following: they threw stones and bottles at police and press during the arrest of Salah Abdeslam. That is the real problem, that migrants from the third or fourth generation turn openly against our society and have been willing to use violence or to justify it has to do with our policy. Let's just remind ourselves here a little bit before we get too carried away. This is, you know, the temptation is to let our emotions run away with us and to seek to marginalize and demonize the Muslim population and Muslim society here. What I see happening here is in this town, in Molenbeek, they had a rally in Brussels over the weekend actually as well at the same time, and these comments were made where 7,000 people came out in support. Anti-IS chants were heard. A lot of people from the Muslim community in Molenbeek attended. They felt that they felt frustrated that they had to come out and be so obviously anti-IS, because I think their implication, certainly their position is, well, clearly we are, but we feel we have to justify our anti-IS credentials in order to justify ourselves to try to put a block on this hatred. So there's one thing I just want to mention. The other thing I want to mention is it seems to me as though the Belgian authorities, the Belgian government is scrambling. There are a lot of problems here over and above the Muslim community per se. This is a community that has been marginalized by society. This is a community where they have high instances of social deprivation, economic deprivation, high instances of unemployment. And it's really been a series of successive failed policies by the Belgian government that have marginalized these people and made them feel completely disenfranchised from a government which in of itself is ill-equipped to deal with the vagaries and deal with the challenges of modern jihadist sentiment. So all of that together is a very potent cocktail and is a very dangerous cocktail. And so it is far too easy just to marginalize one aspect of the community, which, as I said, I think this is a guy who was going to resign. He then is being told he can't resign because we need you. And now he's backpedaling like mad. Whether or not they were dancing in the streets following the attacks, it's ill-advised for him to say that. He is a part of the government where he's supposed to be coming up with intelligent, nuanced analysis and intelligent solutions rather than just seeking to demonize one aspect of society and by extension absolving himself and absolving the government of any wrongdoing or any inability to actually address the real underlying issues. What say you?
My heart really goes out to Belgian officials because they really do have quite a conundrum on their hands. And for me personally, Elliot, this argument, it goes well past the point of compassionate tolerance versus cowardly demonic xenophobia. It's too simplistic. It's simply too binary for me. And there's a greater issue here that's underlying, and you really hear his frustration. And I don't think he's intentionally being this marginal figure. I hear him as being more frustrated than anything else.
It's a frustration at their inept policies. He said in the aftermath of the Paris attacks, he said that he was going to, quote, clean up Molenbeek, whatever that means. Well, whatever that meant, he clearly failed to do so. There was a catastrophic failure on surveillance. And to seek to just palm it all onto Muslims in general and say, well, it's they're the problem, is disingenuous at best and highly inflammatory at worst. So, and this is not going to resolve any of the issues. It's not going to bring greater harmony to the society. 6% of Belgian population are Muslim. It's not a huge population, but it is growing. It's about 0.67 million people in total. Belgium has about 11 million inhabitants. And really these comments, as I said, they are unhelpful at best, inflammatory and divisive at worst.